All right, let's talk about the one section of any research paper that gets put under a microscope more than any other, the methodology. It's the part that can make or break your entire study. So today, we're going to walk through how to build one that's so solid, it's practically review-proof. So think about this for a second. What do you think is the real heart of a research paper? Is it the jaw-dropping results? The amazing conclusion? You might be surprised. Because the answer is, it's the part where you prove it. And that proof, it isn't really in your findings. It's in how you got there. Your methodology is the engine room of your research. It's the foundation that everything else stands on. It's really where your credibility is either won or, lost. And that brings us to the first big idea, what I like to call the replicability rule. See, the ultimate goal of your methodology isn't just to explain what you did. Nope. It's to explain it so clearly, so precisely, that another scientist anywhere in the world could repeat your work exactly. That right there, that's the gold standard of scientific credibility. So one way to think about it is as the architectural blueprint for your study. It's the master plan, right? It lays out every single tool, technique, and design choice, showing exactly how all the pieces fit together to build a sound, valid result. And if it's a blueprint in theory, it's a guidebook in practice. It's the step-by-step travelogue of your research journey. It tells the reader exactly how you picked your sample, how you collected your data, and the precise techniques you used to make sense of it all. And all of this, the blueprint, the guidebook, it all comes down to its most critical job. It's the proof. When you provide all these details, you're building a foundation of transparency and trust. This is what allows science to be this incredible, self-correcting process. Without it, well, research is just a bunch of claims that nobody can verify. And what happens when that proof is missing? Well, you get comments just like this one, taken from a real peer review. Ouch. The manuscript lacks sufficient detail. This is basically a reviewer's polite way of saying, look, I don't trust your results because you didn't show me your work. And that is exactly the problem we're here to solve. So how do you make sure that never happens to you? You build your methodology with a really clear, robust structure. We've broken it all down into an 8-step blueprint that's designed to cover all your bases and build a rock-solid foundation for your research. Okay, our blueprint starts with a big picture. First, you give an overview of your objective. Simple enough. Second, you explain your research design. That's the what. Third, your data collection methods. That's the how. And fourth, the procedure, which is literally the play-by-play of how your study went down. Now for the second half of the blueprint, where we get into the details that really build that credibility. Step 5, data analysis, how you actually crunch the numbers and interpreted everything. 6, the specific tools and equipment you used. No generalizations here. 7, you have to address validity and show how you tried to minimize bias. And finally, number 8, acknowledging your limitations. This one might feel a little weird, but being transparent here is absolutely key for building trust. Let's just zoom in for a second on that data analysis step, because it's so important. It is not enough to just say data were analyzed. No way. You have to specify everything. The statistical tools, like if you used Python or R. The exact techniques, like regression or t-tests. The specific software, like TensorFlow. This level of detail, it is completely non-negotiable if you want your work to be replicable. Okay, so having a great structure is one thing, but how you write about it is just as important. This section is all about polishing your prose. The goal here is to be crystal clear, super precise, and to nail those little details, like getting your verb tenses right. And this quote, this just nails the core idea perfectly. You're not writing a cookbook. You're telling the story of your research. Your methodology should read like a narrative that explains the why behind your choices, guiding the reader through your process in a way that just makes sense. So a super common snag people hit is verb tense, but the rule is actually pretty simple. Use the past tense to report what you did in your study. For instance, the samples were analyzed, but you switch to the present tense when you're describing a standard procedure or a general truth, like data collection is performed using surveys. Getting this right is a small thing that just signals professionalism and attention to detail. All right, let's bring it all home. We're going to take those scary reviewer comments and we're going to flip them on their head. Instead of seeing them as just criticism, let's use them as a checklist for success, making sure we've covered every little thing a skeptical reviewer is going to be looking for.
Okay, check this out. On the left, we've got the green flags. This is what reviewers love to see. Clear descriptions, justifying why you chose your methods, acknowledging your limitations. And on the right, the red flags. These are the deal breakers. Vague details, using default parameters without explaining why. Remember that quote from earlier? Or just ignoring major issues like class imbalance. Seriously, use this table as your final check before you hit submit. If you're hitting all the green and avoiding all the red, you are in fantastic shape.
So in the end, it really all boils down to this one question. A review-proof methodology does so much more than just get your paper published. It ensures that your contribution to science is solid, it's verifiable, and that it's built to last. It makes sure your work can be a stepping stone for all the researchers who come after you. So is your research built to do that?